Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Meet Me in Napa podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Jackson. Glad you're joining me again. I have a special guest here, Justine Ocelia. How you doing?
Hi.
She is so gracious to come sit down with me today and talk about her journey into wine. And I met her at a wine event that my homegirl Tish was throwing, right? Tish Around Town. If you haven't heard, probably by the time you see this, you'll see the interview that I've done with Tish. And so you were there pouring your wines, and there was, a bunch of booths and a bunch of tables around, and yours really stood out to me. Not that I didn't enjoy the other ones, but I really, really enjoyed yours. And so I was like, I should reach out to her and see if she'll come sit down with me. And you said yes. And so thank you.
Thanks for having me. No, of course. That was such a fun event. That was actually the very first time I poured at an event like that. Oh, okay. So that was pretty special.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. So, Justine, tell us about who you are. Give us your backstory and how it led you to becoming to wine today. Matter of fact, before we get into that, you brought some wine.
Yes, I did. Can we please pour?
Yeah, let's pour. Tell us about the wine that you brought, and let's pour some.
All right. So this is a red blend called my Pamelia red blend. And Pamelia means family in my language, very close to how Spanish say familia. Except Filipinos, we do not pronounce our Fs. We pronounce it with a P. And so...
Let's cheers. To
cheers.
Yeah. Cheers good to time. Yes.
Cheers. This blend is a very unlikely blend. It's a blend of 50% Carignan, 28% Pinot Noir, and 12% Saint Laurent.
Ooh. That's good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Let it open it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to let it. I always take a sip right away, but I know I'm going to let it open up. So tell us about your journey into wine. I mean, you're a Filipino winemaker, and we don't see a lot of that, right? So how did that, what was the story that led up to, you doing what you're doing today?
Ooh, so actually, I was first pursuing a medical career. Both my parents.
That's not shocking.
Yeah, I know. I'm Filipino. Like, both my parents are nurses. Stereotypical. And I'm first generation. Okay. So I definitely felt that pressure of following in their footsteps, having that American dream, and that narrow definition of success where you have to pursue being in the medical field, being an engineer or lawyer. And because my parents only knew the medical field, that's what they were pushing me to be. And I was actually getting all my prereqs done, and I went through EMT school, and I was about to apply for physician assistant school. And then I found out wine was a career. So backtrack. I'm originally from New Jersey, but when my parents and I and my sister moved to California, my parents got me into wine.
Okay.
So it's technically their fault, and technically it's still medicine. But I kind of grew up with wine on the table and my parents going to Napa and Paso, and I was in love and intrigued by the culture of it. Going into a winery and smelling fermentation, and it changed my life when I found out you could study it, you could make a career out of it. So I went to Fresno State, go Dogs, and I studied enology, which is study of winemaking. Okay. And
before we get to that, when you told your parents that's what you were going to study,
oh my gosh,
what was that conversation like?
It was horrific. It was horrific because they were like, Justine, is there a job in that? I've never met a female winemaker, and I've never met a Filipino winemaker, which back then was true. We never met a female winemaker, and we never met a Filipino winemaker. Now I can happily say now 14% of winemakers here in the U.S. are female. So I'm one of them. And just a handful of Filipinos that I know of.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure that was probably a night that you remember as far as having that conversation.
It was. They were not happy about it. And I kind of understand where they come from, because they came here pursuing a medical career despite what they actually wanted to pursue. Like my mom, she wanted to be a baker. She wanted to have her own restaurant. She wanted to be a pastry chef. My dad, he wanted to be a doctor, but he grew up in poverty in the Philippines and like didn't have the money to put himself through medical schools. So he pursued nursing so he would get his green card here in the US. So I could see the symbolism of what the medical field means to them. But the fact that I didn't choose that, this was like uncharted territory for them.
Right.
And they were scared for me.
It's interesting because oftentimes I've heard the story thousands of times over about immigrant parents, but they come here because it's the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's the land, and opportunity means more than just the norms of what you know, right? But usually it's the kids who discover the broader opportunities that are there because they're here on survival. It's like, come here, get the job, get the career, provide better life, right? But a part of that better life is to give the kids the opportunities they didn't have, right? But interesting enough, they always push back when the kids want to pursue that thing. I just hear that story time and time again. So it's just an interesting thing. So I'm sorry, but so you were in Bulldogs in Fresno.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Go Dogs. I went to one of those parties once too.
Oh, really? How was that experience?
I was telling somebody before that I interviewed, and they were like, I went to Chico State. And I was like, yeah, I went to that party once. So I've been to a Dogs party. I've been to a couple, but this is not about me. So go Dogs.
I went to Fresno State. And actually before that, what really solidified my winemaking career was I took my WSET too. And then I was like, this is it. I want to be a winemaker. Which is crazy. Out of anything I could have pursued in wine, I wanted to be a winemaker, which made sense because I was a chemistry major. I love chemistry, but I'm also artistic. I used to paint, sing, and I actually taught piano for like 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And I loved it, but yeah, couldn't really find a way to make music a full-time career. And wine did kind of encompass both sides of me, my sciencey side and my artistic side.
Yeah.
And now I'm like 10 years in. Okay. And it's been a crazy journey. I've worked in everything you could possibly think of, from vineyard. I worked for Gallo, was my first job. And I was out in the field as a sugar tester, grabbing grape samples to take to the lab. And then I've worked in other bulk wineries. I've worked in lab, phenolics research, wholesale marketing, hospitality, customer care, winemaking, harvest, you name it. I've done the whole thing.
You've done it all. Yeah.
I've done the whole thing. And then finally, my last year of school, I was having a conversation with a really dear friend of mine, Fa, from Sunset Cellars, and we were in his hot tub, and I was just like, I really wanted to just be done with school. I want to do what I love. I want to make wine. And he was like, well, why don't you like make some wine at our winery? I was like, really? Like, don't joke around. And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, well, let's do it. And later the next year, I ended up launching my own wine brand.
What year was that?
I launched in 2023, okay. And my first vintage was in 2022.
Okay. And so you were, what year was that when you were in college? When you graduated college?
2022, my last semester of school was actually when I had also made my first vintage.
Okay.
So last semester of school, I was going back and forth, which that schedule was crazy. Like, I feel like you kind of have to be a little bit mad to be doing this.
Well, people don't understand, like, with people in Harvest, life shuts down.
Yeah.
I know people that come in and they get their hair cut right before harvest start, and then I don't see them till the end of it, and they come back all bushy and
Yeah.
and it's, it's like months. It's just like hibernating like a bear because it's for you to do that and finishing up school at the same time. There's some
It was, especially because I lived in Fresno.
good crazy though.
I lived in Fresno, was going to school. It is good crazy. I did question my sanity. My mom was like, "Are you okay, Justine?" Because I was also like not sleeping, and I was driving, and I was tired of driving. Because Fresno from Napa / Sassoon area is like 4 hours.
I was about to say that's a long drive. Yeah.
So imagine I had school Monday to Thursday. Friday, I was still working hospitality at a winery back home. And would work weddings and get off at like 2 a.m. on Saturday to pick grapes at 6 a.m. up here, and then work at the winery all weekend, and then leave up here to drive back to class Monday at 4 a.m. to make it to my 8 a.m. class. Like that was my schedule for like 2 months.
And that's amazing. In that time, what did it teach you about yourself?
Ooh, I'm resilient as fuck. Wait, can I say that? Sorry.
You're okay.
And something that was told to me that year was that I had grit, and I had never thought about that before. But I was like, yeah, you're right. I do have it. I was willing to do whatever it took to make it happen. And quite honestly, when I was given the opportunity, I was scared. Terrified. Like, I was still in school and I was like, am I ready to make my own wine? I thought like I'd be making wine 10, 15 years from now,
right,
after working for somebody else. Because it takes it takes resources, space, capital. And I was a college student, and at the time I was making money, working multiple jobs. I was working hospitality at a winery, and then I was also doing like social media marketing for different companies, and I was running my own product photography and marketing business as a content creator, specifically in wine. I didn't make that much money. For the most part, it did make me enough to be able to travel up here and network and meet different people, and hence I was able to get these opportunities. But I really had to lean in on my community and my mentors and the people that I've met here. I'm not the kind of person who's shy or too timid to ask questions. And I think that's what really took me very far.
So when you talked about, I don't know if we said that off camera or not, but you were saying there was only 14% women winemakers. And of course, it's booming now, right? It's growing exponentially now. You just see more and more in the valley and across the world. But how did you feel? And as a woman coming into the space, but not only that, as a Filipino woman, because there's one thing to be a woman, but then there's not a lot of Filipino women, right?
Yeah.
So how were you embraced? What were I know you were resilient, but what was that like? What were the relationships with people? Just how did that go for you?
In terms of
just what, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, I was bringing up how you were resilient. You said you were resilient to do all those things, but then the actual doing of it, how did that work out for you? Because in the process, you're looking back of seeing you were resilient, but while you're in it, in the moment, you had to overcome fears and I don't know anybody else that looks like me who's doing this. Right. So just how was that part for you?
I think I didn't really focus on that part of being a woman in wine at the very beginning. I mean, I did embrace it. I did deal with people looking at me and they taste a wine, and they're like asking the guy next to me if he's the winemaker, and never really thought I would be the winemaker. I dealt with those kind of things, but like when you're in it and you're doing, I'm doing the winemaking, I'm talking to different people, I'm essentially showing them my hand. I think maybe that's more so the point here, besides resilience, is that I constantly, as a woman in wine, had to throw my knowledge and kind of prove myself to certain people, but I felt like at that time in my life, it came so natural because as a woman, like we constantly have to do that. But then also a mixture of like this high, like this is amazing. I'm learning so much. And yeah, I think that's how I would best describe it.
Okay. So you got out of college and now you started a wine label a year after or 2 years after?
So I launched literally the next year.
The next year. So what even just gave you the confidence to say yes to that? Because oftentimes opportunities can land at your feet,
Right.
but then you're just like, I'm not ready. Like
Well, I admit I was not ready. And I told myself I wasn't. And I was terrified to even start this project, but I'm also excited for the opportunity. I told myself if I turned down this opportunity to start my own label, I would regret it. And I don't know when would be the next time I would given this opportunity. So shout out to Sunset Cellars and Fawn Mio because they were the two first people who really believed in me and saw my passion for this and working at their winery and even helping them with their harvest. I think they really saw that. So yeah, going back to me being terrified, again, I leaned in on my community. I met different people who were like, hey, Justine, do you need grapes? I know somebody who's selling these grapes. Do you want to go check them out type of thing? Or like also I reach out to different people in my community. Like, does anybody know who has barrels? I need some barrels, you know? And even winemaking questions. I have tons of winemaker friends who I've asked about carbonic maceration and like some really fun technical stuff. So we're going to get technical. We're going to get technical. Carbonic maceration is when you have whole clusters, whole berries that are intact and they kind of go through their own multiple fermentations within the berry, and then it kind of creates this very complex aromatic situation where it just smells so fruit forward. So actually in this blend, Pamelia, there's 50% carbonic maceration, and that's in the Carignan that I got from Mendocino. And the Pinot Noir and the Saint Laurent was co-fermented, which is a term for these two different grapes got blended together before fermentation, so it got fermented together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to let you nerd out real quick. Because, seriously, because I in my group chat with my guys who work on the podcast, they'll all be nerding out behind like the video audio stuff, and I just feel left out. They'll be like, yeah, they start talking about levels and sounds and all the stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I'm saying that the reason why I wanted you to highlight that was because I think that anybody who is in the industry and knows the industry after talking to you, they're like, oh no, she knows her stuff, right? So that opportunity didn't just come based on me being a female, me being Filipino. It was no, she put in the work, right? A lot of work. And I think that really needs to be highlighted because oftentimes we know that there's in different fields of life or genres of careers, people can feel like, oh, I'm this, so there's not a lot of people like me in this. But if you just go in and put the work in, the doors will open up.
100%.
Right? That people get because people respect when you respect the craft that they're in.
100%.
You know what I mean? It's not just you're not just coming in and trying to kick a door open and say, well, I'm this, give me a chance. Like, no, I put this work in. Yeah.
100%.
And respect that. Yeah.
I think also what got me to where I am today is being able to also, like, yes, you know, I came in and I put in this work and I let them know this is what I know, but also being able to admit that I don't know everything and that I'm here and I'm willing to learn. I think that's what got me really far, and a lot of people wanted help.
So how do your parents feel about what you're doing now?
Now they're super supportive. They're my biggest cheerleaders now. And, you know, I think it also helps that I bring wine home for them. So
Yeah. Free wine always helps.
yes.
Yeah.
And actually, this blend is super special to me. And the reason why I call it Pamelia is because I brought barrel samples home for Thanksgiving in 2023 for my parents to try. And this goes for everything in my wine career. I bring samples home because I want my parents to be part of the process and have them understand, like, not only what I've gone through, but like have them taste like where my heart is pouring into, and kind of show them how wine develops from vineyard all the way to bottle. And I think that's something pretty special. My mom ended up that Thanksgiving, my mom ended up playing around with the different components and the different sample bottles, and she ended up making this blend.
Your mom made this?
Yeah, my mom made this blend. Okay, and I was like, first off, Mom.
So now you're not just, you're birthing winemakers now. That's what you're trying to tell me?
I was like, Mom, are you a winemaker, first of all? Second of all, are you trying to take my job?
Right.
And third off, like, it was so good. I loved it so much that I ended up bottling this blend and named it after family.
Oh man, that's an amazing story.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
that's
of
so
course.
funny. now if she when it blows up, tell her she can't collect all the royalties.
Shh, don't tell her that.
Yeah, Mom. All right, Mom. So we're here now. And now you're bottling wine, you're selling wine, you're on podcasts, you're reaching out, you're doing pours at events. Where do you and you were written up in Forbes, correct?
Yes.
That's an accomplishment.
Yes, thank you so much.
That is an accomplishment.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So I met somebody, Chelsea Davis, very amazing content creator. And we actually met at a Pride event in SF where we were doing a crawl to visit different food spots that were owned by LGBTQ owners. And we kind of bonded because she's also Filipina.
Okay.
And I had no idea at the time that she's also a journalist, and she contributes to Forbes as well as other publications. And yeah, she reached out and she wanted to do a feature on me. Yeah, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's also another Forbes contributor, Noel Burgess. And
Noel, yeah.
yes, so he ended up writing my second write-up on Forbes.
Okay.
And he was actually a little bit jealous that Chelsea beat him to it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got one yet, so I'm just saying. No, that's dope. Yeah, so I mean that's a big deal. You know what I mean? You can't downplay that. That's really a big deal to be in a publication that large.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Was there any windfall that came positively after that, like phone calls, people?
Yes.
What kind of things happened from that article write-up?
Actually, after that, a bunch of different Filipino restaurants hit me up and was like, we want to taste with you. We want to have your wine here. And I was like, what? And even like the one but the one restaurant that has been on like my manifest list where I wanted my wine to be is Abaca in San Francisco.
Okay.
And yeah, I got my wines there.
They're there.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a Filipino restaurant?
Yes.
Where in San Francisco?
They're by the Fisherman's Wharf area. It's actually attached to a hotel that starts with an A. I can't quite remember what it's called, but Abaca, meaning ABC in our language, and it's like higher scale fine dining Filipino restaurant, and their brunch is killer.
I'm gonna book me an appointment after this.
Yeah, you have to.
No, I'm gonna go. I never heard of that one. So, and I've been one thing about living in the valley is it's made me appreciate food scenes in other cities more because the food scene is so great here. So, me and my wife, we purposefully like find restaurants that we've never been to, and just like look up stuff. And interesting enough, I didn't even know there was a Filipino restaurant. In the city. So yeah.
I mean, there's one that's opening up here.
Yeah, there
pretty
is one.
soon.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
Yeah.
You have to check that one out.
Yeah, I can't wait. I know some people that are involved in that. So yeah, I can't wait till it comes, and we'll probably be there drinking wine, cheering.
Oh, we definitely will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else? What do you envision for you talked about manifesting yourself in your wine in a particular restaurant. What else do you envision for yourself moving forward? Because you're still in the infancy stages of this game. So you're hitting waves and strides really fast, and it seems like things are going well.
Yeah.
Where do you want this to go? You know,
it's funny because I literally was just talking about this with somebody yesterday about what I've been manifesting, and one just came true. I can't quite say yet, but you will know. But a couple other things that I've manifested are just getting more into more Filipino restaurants. And I think I've almost reached that capacity here in California, just because my wine only makes sense in certain places. And what I mean by that is that, the restaurant has to have a liquor license. A lot of Filipino restaurants don't, especially when you go to places in the city and they have like a cafeteria style Filipino food, which those places are bomb. But it makes sense for more higher end Filipino restaurants with a wine list. And not only that, but a wine list where it's not just like $15 glasses, because I am very small and my wine comes from grapes that are hand harvested. It's a little pricier, and but I guess I would also say by the bottle, it's still accessible.
And so what are the challenges? You were saying something earlier, and you just mentioned now about their hand. What's the word you use?
Hand harvested.
Hand harvested.
Yeah.
What is the challenges that you have as a small label who doesn't have your own vineyard compared to someone who has their own vineyard, right?
It's true.
What are the different challenges that you have in that?
That's a great question. So, as a small producer, like you said, I don't have my own winery. I don't have my own vineyard. I rely on other people's wineries that allow me to make wine, and I contract with different growers. So around the summertime, I'll go check out different vineyards. I'll, depending on where we are in the growing season, I'll taste the fruit, or I'll also try wines that are made from that vineyard. I ask about the growing practices, and from that point on in the contract, I'll have them harvest the grapes and they'll bring it to the winery, and from there on, I'll do everything all the way up until it getting bottled. There are challenges in terms of, because I'm small and they hire a whole crew to pick the fruit, I don't have say on when I want the fruit to be picked. I have to piggyback off a bigger contract that they have, and then they'll just so happen to pick my grapes that same day.
Throw yours in there as when they can,
Exactly.
Okay.
I do get to say, like, I would prefer it to be on like the earlier side rather than overly ripe. But sometimes that doesn't always happen, especially because we're battling nature, and here in California it gets hot. Thank you to global warming.
So with all that being said, you have all these different challenges, and they seem they're different year to year, which they are even for big grape growers. I mean, wineries who have their own vineyards and everything, because like you say, you're dealing with nature. So you do have your yearly challenges. Did it rain enough? Is it this? Is there, enough? What are you facing right now? The industry is in a tisk right now. How is that affecting you, if it is at all? Are you like so small that it really is not affecting you? Or what challenges is with the industry struggling right now? What is it?
I mean, the biggest one that everybody in the industry is talking about is tariffs. And I think it won't really affect small producers as much, considering I don't own land, I don't own vineyards, so I have the luxury of being like, I'm just gonna produce less this year, versus like people who are really in it, they're like locked in.
Right.
So for me, it doesn't really affect me as much as a small producer who doesn't really own a whole lot of things. But I own the brand and label, and I produced just enough where like I'm able to be able to supply my markets. And I'm so niche that like I still have untapped markets, So another thing, going back to your question about manifestation, is my want and my need to also export to the East Coast. So I'll actually be in the East Coast in June. I'm doing a couple pop-ups with some Filipino restaurants out there and chefs, and at the same time meeting up with some potential distributors.
New York, like in New York area? Okay. That's amazing. And
another thing that I'm manifesting is exporting to the Philippines.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. Oh, I beat you to it.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you, is drinking wine in the Philippines, is it a big deal like it is here in the States?
It is growing.
Okay.
I want to say it's exponentially grown in the past 5 years. I was just there, was it last year? And I was surprised to find out that they even had like a wine festival over there. Oh, okay. And I was like, what?
Do they grow over there too? Do they grow?
They do not. They do not make wine out there. And I think they do fruit wine, like dragon fruit wine, strawberry wine. But grape wine, actually there is a producer. I haven't tried them yet, and I don't want to say anything bad about them. So, but for the most part, they do import. For the most part, they import, and they get wines from mostly Bordeaux, Argentina, Portugal. The representation of American wine is so shitty. It's really bad. Like I went to a restaurant and like the $3 Gallo, big bottle of Gallo wine that we get here, they sell it for $25. And like they put it under the American section. I'm like,
it's like 300,
we have better
300 here?
No, it's like $3 here and it's like $25 over there. Okay. And I'm like, and this is me like converting into American dollars versus Philippine pesos, but I'm like, why don't you guys have better wine than this $3 Gallo? And so, not to talk shit about Gallo because they were my first foot in the door, but like, I was just disappointed. Like they have these amazing Bordeaux wines and Argentinian wines. I'm like, why don't you guys have more producers out here representing? So that's something that I wanted to change with my brand, is bringing my label to the Philippines and have these Filipino people look at it and say, oh, Kabayan.
Yeah, I know what that
is. Is that Filipino? Like, there's no mistake about that. And when I had decided to name my label Kabayan, my mom, it's funny because my mom was like, I don't know if I like that name. Maybe you should like have it spelled with a C. I'm like, why? Why with a C? Like, Filipinos won't be able to recognize that. And that's the whole point, is for them to like read it and be like, oh, a Filipino must have made this, and have them be excited. Because there's one thing about my culture, we got Pinoy pride. You know, have you heard of that?
I've heard of that.
We got Pinoy pride, and we are so prideful.
I grew up. I was born in the city, but I grew up in before I moved to Fairfield. I was in Daly City,
Yeah.
And Daly City has nothing but
yeah.
Filipinos.
Yeah, there's...
So all my friends are Filipinos and Samoans and stuff like that. And then Vallejo, you know how Vallejo is just heavy Filipino influence. So I grew up around a bunch of Filipinos growing up here in Solano County, and yeah.
Yeah, we get excited when we see other Filipinos. Not only that, seeing other Filipinos doing it, making it. So yeah, that's something that I love about my culture.
So okay, I got 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
One is, I'm not Filipino. That's not the question. If I'm at home and I have my food that I like to eat at home, which is not traditionally Filipino food, what wine do you have, a bottle should I open up to? Because I know you said you make your wine for Filipino food,
right?
But if I'm not eating Filipino food and I enjoy your wine, what should I pair it with? So
that's a really great question, because when I'm outpouring for events, I also mention regular food that we have on the daily. Because my wine has this fresh acidity, it makes it really food friendly. This is something that I would pair with Meat Lover's Pizza or like backyard barbecue. You could even slightly chill this. So that's why it's really good for, like, you want to do 4th of July, you could do red for 4th of July, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And my other question is, which I try to always ask, sometimes I forget, but money is not an option anymore. You hit the jackpot.
Okay.
What would Justine be doing?
Woo! I hit the jackpot. Then I would...
Whether it be business, personal life, whatever. Just what would you be doing?
Well, first thing I would do is definitely buy me a winery. Okay, and some vineyards. I would scale up significantly. And then another thing I would really want to do is put my sister through culinary school.
Okay.
That's her dream.
Okay.
She works a very corporate job, and I know her passion is cooking, and I would love to put her through culinary school, and we could do a little sister duo, you know.
So you can piss your parents off even more.
Well,
you already broke the ice, so now they're just like.
She actually pursued business.
Uh-huh. Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She has that good career on paper.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, now you're going to culinary school. They'll be like, wait a second, you know.
Well, surprisingly, after I didn't pursue a medical career, they were a little easier on her.
Right, of course. As I said, you broke the
right.
ice. Yeah.
But when my sister was still in school and she's pursuing her business admin at, where was she? She was at San Diego State, and she was even questioning whether that was what she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And she was thinking about switching over to culinary school. But at that point, she was already almost done.
Yeah. So
you know,
just go
and my mom was actually pretty open to it. And I was like, man, if only I was rich, I would just put her through school.
Well, the CIA is right up the street.
I know. But no, she wants to do New York.
Oh, okay. Well, I think they have one in New York too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be that school, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything, where can people find your wines if they want to buy a bottle, or how would they find you?
So they can definitely buy through me online, kabayanwines.com. Some other places where you can find Kabayan wines is Abaca in San Francisco, Fob Kitchen in Oakland. You also have Decant Napa, Decant SF, Maison in Healdsburg, and then in LA, if you're in LA, you can find my wines at Lola's in Anaheim, and as well as Spoon and Pork in, I believe they're in Sawtell.
Okay.
And I can ship to other states. It's just shipping may vary depending on what state you are. So you can always email me as well. And then, hopefully soon the East Coast. Stay tuned.
All right. And I'm going to take this bottle. So if you want a bottle, you can hit me up too. I have a bottle of this. Well, thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
No, it really was. I'm just glad that you were able to tell your story. And like I say, I want to just highlight great people who are doing great things here in Napa Valley. And I'm glad that we crossed paths, and I'm pretty sure this won't be the last time. And so thank you for coming. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Meet Me in Napa, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.